After 20 years of frowns, CEO Millionaire discovered a life-changing song that revealed joy. Jake Turner drove through the familiar streets of his Midwestern suburb, but the shine of the streetlights felt dull, like a film over the world he once loved. He had everything: a mansion with a pool, a perfect background for Instagram, and a bank account overflowing from his countless business ventures. Yet beneath the polished surface, a heaviness settled deep in his chest, a constant reminder of the emptiness he had chased into the corners of his heart for the past 20 years. He remembered his single mother, working 2 jobs, sacrificing everything just to ensure he got the education to succeed. With every ounce of her blood, sweat, and tears, she pushed Jake toward the American dream. But success came with a high price, and now the friends he had rallied alongside on that path looked more like shadows, their eyes filled with envy rather than camaraderie. There had been no room for family dinners or phone calls, only business meetings drowning in stress and loneliness. That night, feeling the weight of his life crush him, Jake decided to pull into the parking lot of the community center, a place echoing with memories from his childhood. As he stepped inside, warmth enveloped him, laughter mingled with music. Then, he saw her. Ella. Under the dim lights, her soulful voice wrapped around him like a cozy blanket, telling a story of dreams, loss, and resilience. Each note stirred something deep within him, awakening emotions he thought he had drowned. Tears pricked at the corners of his eyes for the first time in years. He could hardly recall the last moment he felt anything resembling joy. Her voice flowed effortlessly, touching upon struggles he had forgotten. In that moment, he felt utterly vulnerable, swept up in her authenticity. Suddenly, he saw a world beyond his carefully curated life, people's struggles, heartbeats, hopes. The community center didn't just represent a venue, it was a lifeline to those like Ella, who poured everything into creating something beautiful out of hardship. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet, with Ella's words still echoing in his ears, the reality of his corporate decisions pressed down on him. A vote was looming at the next board meeting. The fate of the community center, of Ella's music career, rested in his hands. The thought of prioritizing profits over people knotted his stomach. What kind of man had he become? He was supposed to be the hero upholding the American dream, but horrors crawled up his spine as he considered the alternative. His ambition could crumble lives without a second thought. Deciding at last to reach out to his mother, he hoped to clear the tangled mess he had made of their relationship, that he'd waited far too long to mend. Recollections of her sacrifices flooded him, shaking down the walls he had built around his heart. Just then, the enormity of his choices hit him like a swift punch, leaving him breathless. In the dim light of the community center, Ella's song lingered, leaving him on a cliff. Would he use his power for good or remain lost in the whirlwind of his empty success? The next morning, Jake sat at his sprawling kitchen table, staring blankly at his untouched coffee. The aroma filled the air, but it couldn't quite break through the fog that wrapped around his mind. The weight of yesterday's performance still clung to him, between the notes of Ella's song and the memories of his mother's sacrifices. He knew he couldn't shake it off, not without making a decision. His phone buzzed insistently, dragging him back to reality. It was his assistant, handing him reminders of meetings, agendas marked with sterile bullet points and bottom lines. Here they were, ready to discuss a merger that offered massive profits. He felt a knot tightening in his stomach. What would it cost to proceed? The faces in the boardroom, their talk of shares, market capitalization, and bonuses faded as he thought of Ella. The way she sang, the truth and warmth in her voice, filled him with something he hadn't felt in too long, a calling. With each passing moment, the notion of attending the board meeting without considering the community center felt increasingly intolerable. He finally grabbed his phone, thumb hovering over his mother's contact. After a long breath, he pressed the call button. The ringing seemed to echo through his kitchen, amplifying his insecurities. "Jake? Is that you?" Her voice broke through like sunshine after a storm. "Mom," he hesitated, the words stuck in his throat. "I'm sorry. For everything. I just didn't think." "Sweetheart, you don't have to apologize. I know things get busy." "No, Mom. It's not just busy. I've been chasing after the wrong things." In that moment, he poured out his heart, unveiling years of disappointment and neglect. He talked about the endless meetings, the victories that felt hollow, and the weight of his choices. As he spoke, he felt lightning. Her silence bore no judgment, only understanding. "Life isn't all about profit margins, Jake. It's about people. Your father taught me that, and I tried to pass that on to you," she replied softly. "You have a chance to change things now. Don't let fear of what they'll think pull you back." The conviction in her voice bolstered his resolve. He ended the call with a spark in his heart, ready to face the day, ready to make a choice. Determined, he headed to the community center, each passing block resonating with promises anew. Every step nudged him closer to the life he had almost abandoned. He scanned the posters on the walls, advertisements for classes and family events, and paused at a vibrant one advertising the open mic night that Ella hosted every week. Just then, Ella walked past, bundle of energy and laughter. Her smile lit up the whole room as she recognized him. "Hey! You came back." "I did," he admitted. "I want to help you, to help this place. I can't just sit by and let it vanish. It means too much." Her face brightened, but then fell slightly. "If you think that's enough, it's not. We need funding, and you're the big cheese." She laughed softly, but a tinge of worry creased her brow. "I know," Jake said, the gravity of their situation weighing down. "But I think I can swing this meeting differently. Show them that people matter." Ella's eyes widened in disbelief. "Wait, you're serious? You'd go against your board?" He nodded. "I have to. For the community, for your music, and for everyone who believes in more than just money." The prospect of forking his path of success thrilled him and terrified him in equal measure. Together, they brainstormed ways to save the community center, a renewable energy source that would light up the future, not drown it in darkness. As Ella spoke, her passion ignited his spirits. They were interrupted by a call from his office, demanding his attention. Another presentation, another chain that pulled him back to the corporate world. "Go ahead, Jake," Ella said, sensing his hesitation. "You don't have to stay trapped by expectations. You just need to stay true to yourself." Her words struck at his core. Just then, with the weight of the world on his shoulders and a momentary glimpse of who he could become, he made a decision. What would he choose, the boardroom or the community? "Let's make some real music," he said, determination etched across his face. Tomorrow loomed, with his board meeting on the horizon, and Jake had the chance to truly change the melody of his life. Would he step up to the mic, or return to the silent corners of ambition? The sun rose slowly the next day, casting a warm golden hue through Jake's kitchen windows. He sat at the table again, but this time, he savored his coffee as it swirled with anticipation. The board meeting loomed ahead like a storm cloud, but instead of dread, hope flowed through him. He thought of Ella's laughter, the warmth in her voice, the way she turned passion into action. It fueled him. As he dressed, he chose a simple button-down shirt, the kind he'd wear to a casual meeting. It felt like a small rebellion against the suits that had defined his corporate persona for too long. In that choice, he was shedding the weight of expectation, his own and others. Driving through the city, he paid attention to the world around him. The laughter of children echoed from a nearby school, while the scent of fresh pastries wafted from a bakery. This was the heartbeat of life, vibrant and full, unlike the sterile environments he often inhabited. He took a deep breath, soaking in the energy of his city. On the way to his office, Jake stopped at a florist. The colors of the flowers burst forth like the spark within him. He picked a bright bouquet saturated with summer hues, their sweetness reminiscent of Ella's joy. For good luck, he murmured to himself, a smile creeping onto his face. He arrived at the towering building, the skyline looming above him, full of glass and steel. The meeting room awaited, filled with well-dressed professionals who seemed to only care about the bottom line. As he stepped into the conference room, the air felt charged with expectancy. The board members were already seated, sharp-eyed and ready to dissect his every word. He placed the flowers on the table just as the meeting began. Faces raised eyebrows, surprised at this touch of color among their monochrome world. He took a moment, allowing the awkward silence to seep into the room. "Thank you all for being here," he started, his voice steady as he looked from one face to another. "Today, we're going to discuss something different." He watched as heads shifted, leaning forward slightly. "Instead of focusing on the numbers, let us talk about what we can do for our community. We're all aware of the upcoming merger and the expected financial gains. But what if we shifted our focus?" The room fell silent, tension humming in the air. He could see the skepticism, the hesitation, but he pressed on. "Our community center is struggling. It represents all the people who can't afford to be part of our world of profit and shares. But it's also a place bursting with potential. A safe harbor for families. I believe we can invest in it. Imagine the goodwill, the reputation we'll build by giving back." Murmurs of dissent crackled like dried leaves underfoot. "And if it fails? What if we sink money into it with no return?" One board member countered, the skepticism thick and palpable. Jake's heart raced as he faced the challenge. What if we save lives instead? What if we give someone like Ella a chance to make music and inspire others? Isn't that worth more than numbers on a spreadsheet? His voice grew stronger, filling the room with his conviction. "I'm asking you to consider what we can achieve together, not just as a company, but as a community. We can effect real change." As he spoke, a flicker of doubt began to dissolve in the eyes of those around him. Gradually, they leaned in as he unfolded the dream he found in Ella's song. Jake felt a rush of exhilaration. As he poured his heart out, the emotions shifted, and so did his audience. He could see it, a slow transformation in the room. After finishing, he looked around, breathless and hopeful. "Let us make a difference," he said quietly, almost as a prayer. The boardroom was silent, and he felt the weight of their gazes on him. He waited, pulse racing, wondering if they would respond, whether they understood the depth of what he was trying to convey. Just then, the chairman straightened in his seat, a glimmer of intrigue sparkling in his eyes. "Interesting proposal, Jake. Let us discuss it further." Hope surged. Jake couldn't help but smile. What if this was the moment everything changed? As he stepped out of the boardroom, the adrenaline faded, but an electric sense of possibility simmered within him. He thought of Ella, the community center, and the lives they could touch. But what would happen if they said no? What if he wasn't ready to face that reality? The questions loomed, but the thrill of the moment overshadowed his doubts. Jake stepped into the bustling rhythm of the office, surrounded by co-workers, the walls echoing with urgent conversations. He realized he hadn't just taken on the boardroom, he was in a much bigger game now. Would he have the courage to keep pushing forward? He could either accept the uncertain path ahead or retreat to familiar ground. Each option weighed heavily on him. And he wondered, in this quest to change lives, would he ultimately uncover the joy he had been missing all along? Jake leaned against the wall outside the boardroom, still tasting the adrenaline that charged through him. Every breath felt alive with the potential of what was to come. After years dedicated to climbing the corporate ladder, he had finally glimpsed an alternative route, a road paved with compassion and impact rather than profit margins and stock prices. He glanced at the bouquet of flowers, bright and lively, resting on the table. It was a simple gesture, but today, it had become emblematic of his shift in focus. Before, he had believed success was defined by numbers. Now, he started to understand that it was also about connection, about lifting those around him, the community, the individuals lost in the system, the dreamers like Ella. As if summoned by his thoughts, Ella's voice echoed in his mind, a melody laced with unrestrained passion. Would she support him? Would she dance in joy if he succeeded? The thought brought warmth to his chest, but also an edge of uncertainty. What if they took his idea and twisted it into a profit-making gimmick? What if they lost sight of the heart behind the proposal? His train of thought was interrupted as his assistant, Mia, appeared beside him. Jake, the team is buzzing. They're curious about what just happened in there. Her voice was bright, but her expression bore the recognition of the stakes. Do they think I'm crazy? He chuckled lightly, though a flicker of anxiety stirred beneath his laughter. Not crazy. Brave. At least, that's what they're saying. She gave him an encouraging smile. I overheard some of them discussing ideas for the community center. It seems like you sparked something. Jake's heart swelled at her words. If there was one thing he knew, it was that change never happened in isolation. The strength of a team was how impact became possible. That's amazing, Mia. It's more than I could have hoped for. Want me to arrange a meeting to brainstorm more? She asked eagerly. Absolutely, let us get everyone on board. The more voices, the better. Jake's pulse quickened as he imagined what their collective ideas could unleash. What if they could redefine what the company stood for? What if this was the beginning of something monumental? The day passed in a whirlwind of meetings and discussions. The atmosphere had transformed. People who typically discussed budgets were now enthusiastically debating how to contribute meaningfully to their community. The air was electric with vision and potential. Ideas for workshops, musical programs, and support services flowed, each more inspired than the last. As Jake pored over the notes with Mia at the end of the day, anticipation bubbled beneath the surface. You know, he said, glancing up from the paper, I can really see us making a difference. Like we're part of a bigger picture. Mia nodded, her eyes shining. Exactly. This isn't just about the community center anymore, it's about all of us. We're changing the narrative. Jake let that sink in, marveling at how quickly things had turned. But deep down, whispers of doubt remained. What if the board ultimately rejected their vision? What if this momentum fizzled out? Would he have the courage to keep fighting for this new direction even when it felt most threatened? As those thoughts clamored for attention, he felt a sense of resolve building. If nothing else, he had sparked hope, new purpose, and for now, that was enough to carry him forward. He glanced at Mia, ready to voice his fears, but the words caught in his throat. Instead, he grinned. Let us get this moving. We can't wait to see what more we can achieve. They high-fived over the table, the gesture simple yet grounding. As they finalized plans, Mia suddenly looked serious. Jake, have you thought about how you want to present this to the board? I mean, really show them what this means. He paused, realizing he hadn't even scratched the surface of how to frame this emotional movement. No, I guess I haven't, he admitted. What if you shared a bit of Ella's story? She suggested, her eyes brightening with each word. It could humanize everything. Make it relatable. Jake's stomach twisted. Her story is powerful, but it's also deeply personal. Exactly. It's honest, and it connects. You can show the board what's on the line. The idea settled around him, both exciting and terrifying. If he took the risk and shared Ella's story, it would mean standing vulnerable before the board. But maybe, just maybe, vulnerability could turn the tides. Let us do it, he finally said, conviction settling in his bones. It's time to make them feel something. As they put pen to paper, ideas flowed, and Jake could already picture the faces in the boardroom, anticipating their reaction. With each word he wrote, the weight of possibility propelled him. Tomorrow, he would embrace the fear and the uncertainty, clinging to the hope that their journey had ignited. But what if they didn't get it? What if the rejection stifled everything he believed in? The questions lingered like shadows, but he resolved to shine a light on them. He was ready to take that leap. As they finished drafting the presentation, Jake looked out the window at the dusky skyline, all aglow. He felt the stirrings of change coursing through him. But moments later, an urgent text from Ella pinged his phone. He glanced down, reading her words with a mix of dread and longing. "Jake, I need to talk. It's important. What could be so urgent?" He felt a familiar knot twist in his stomach as he typed back, "When and where?" In his gut, Jake knew that this conversation might open doors he hadn't anticipated. But would it derail the very mission he was working to build? Would it take him even further away from the light he was chasing? An echo of uncertainty gnawed at him. Every decision, every risk seemed to carry the weight of so much more than just himself now. Jake stared at his phone, heart racing as he waited for Ella's response. The screen remained stubbornly blank for several moments, stretching the silence into a taut string of anxiety. The words, "It's important," played over in his mind. What could be so urgent? Was something wrong? Did she need help? He decided not to dwell on his fears. Instead, he focused on the presentation that awaited him, the mission they had ignited. Time slipped by, and when he finally received a reply, it was just one word: tonight. Perfect. He needed to meet her. But what about tomorrow? The board meeting loomed large on the horizon, a daunting shadow ready to swallow him whole if things went sideways. Could he balance the pressure of their budding initiative with the urgency of Ella's message? The clock ticked louder as Jake and Mia worked late into the evening. Each word on the page felt weightier than the last. With every idea they crafted, he thought of Ella, her laugh, her unwavering belief in the small things that lift the spirit. Her story could anchor everything he wanted to present, but he was scared to drag her past into the boardroom spotlight. It seemed so raw, so exposed. When they finally wrapped up, Jake purged energy with a long sigh. The team's collective excitement felt infectious, but the uncertainty about tomorrow hovered large in the air. "I'm meeting Ella tonight," he told Mia, rubbing the bridge of his nose, fatigue settling in. "Good. You two have always had that connection," Mia said, her smile at once encouraging and understanding. "Just remember, you are not alone in this." "Right," he replied, forcing a nod. "But if this flop happens, I could lose it all." "Don't think like that." She stepped closer, giving him a reassuring squeeze on the shoulder. "You've ignited something here. Just share that passion." Her words left a warm imprint on him. But still, doubt crept back in. Could passion outweigh corporate skepticism? He walked out of the office feeling like he was walking a tightrope, each step weighed down with the flapping wings of hope and fear. The city hummed with life as Jake made his way to Ella's favorite cafe. Under the soft light of street lamps, every person seemed to carry their own stories, their own battles. But none drew his attention like Ella did. She sat tucked in a corner, her focus on the steaming cup in front of her, lost in thought. He noticed the way her delicate fingers traced the edges of the mug, a small gesture that made his heart flutter. "Hey," he said softly, sliding into the chair across from her. "What is going on?" Her smile warmed him, but it was tinged with worry. "I was hoping you might be free tonight to talk about something important, but I didn't expect you to look so stressed." "What's important?" His heart tightened. "Is it about us?" She took a deep breath, her eyes clouding momentarily. "It's more about changes. Things I didn't expect to happen." Jake leaned closer, sensing the heaviness in her voice. "Ella, whatever it is, we can work on it together. You know that. Can we?" She hesitated, glancing around as though searching for the right words. "What if we're on different paths? You're chasing this big dream, but I am still figuring out what that looks like for me." I'm scared that I might pull you down, not lift you up. The knot in his stomach twisted tighter. You're not a weight. You're a part of all this. I wouldn't be here without you. What if I told you I'm thinking of moving away to find myself? She said, her gaze dropping to the table as if she couldn't bear to look him in the eyes. He felt the ground shift beneath him. Why would you do that? I thought we were in this together. I thought you thought I'd follow your dreams as if that would fix everything. What about mine? You're so focused on that board meeting tomorrow, and I'm just lost, she admitted, her voice cracking. Jake's pulse raced. But we can figure this out. Ella, I need you. You have always been my strength. Jake, but what if I can't keep being that for you? What if I need to find my own voice? With each word, he felt reality crashing in. Their lives, their aspirations, everything intertwined seemed to teeter on the brink. The clock ticking in the cafe echoed in his ears. Tomorrow, he would walk into that boardroom, armed with vulnerability and Ella's story, but could he really carry the weight of her uncertain heart along with it? Silence settled, heavy and charged. He needed her more than ever, but at what cost? I don't want to lose you, he whispered, the fear evident in his voice. The conversation hung between them, unresolved. Would his moment of truth tomorrow come with a sacrifice? Jake could feel the weight of Ella's words pressing down on him, as if the air around them thickened with uncertainty. He searched her eyes, hoping to find answers hidden behind the flicker of her gaze. Ella, we can figure it out together. We just have to talk it through, he said, but doubt laced his voice. What if talking only makes it harder? She leaned back, wrapping her arms around herself like she was trying to hold in the emotions swirling between them. What if I just go? What if that is what I need? I don't want to hold you back from what you need to do. What I need is you, he insisted, his heart racing. You're not just my past, Ella. You're my future too. For a while, the cafe buzzed around them, men and women laughing, chatting, unaware of the storm inside their small corner. He wanted to reach out and hold her hand, to pull her closer and remind her of all the good things they'd built together. But each moment felt like trepidation kept them apart. It was as if the distance wasn't just physical, it was the unraveling of everything they'd dreamed about. Finally, she spoke again. You have this huge opportunity tomorrow, and I'm scared of being a distraction. If I move away, maybe it would give you space to grow without worrying about me. A part of him wanted to scream that he didn't care about the board meeting. If he had to choose between the deal of a lifetime and her, there was no question where he'd stand. But the words stuck in his throat, unable to break free. All he could do was bite through the fear rattling his heart, knowing she was right in some ways, yet he couldn't shake the sinking feeling that this was the beginning of an ending. What if trying to find yourself leads you away from me? Jake asked, his voice breaking slightly. Can't we try to find our way together? Can we? I feel like I'm in one place, and you're heading straight for the stars, while I'm still lost in the constellations, she said, her voice thick with emotion. What if I never catch up? That's not how it works. We support each other. We hold on through everything, he said forcefully, desperate to make her see that this wasn't just about him. What if your journey brings you back to me? What if it leads to something better for both of us? Her eyes glistened, and for a split second, it seemed like he might reach her. But then she shook her head. I just need to find what I'm looking for without the pressure of your dreams hanging over my head. A mask of collected calm seemed to fold over her face, but he could see the hurt creeping in just beneath the surface. The vulnerability in her expression made him ache. How could he convince her that her dreams were as important as his? That they could be woven together like tapestry threads? Ella, whatever you decide, just know I'll be here cheering you on. But I don't want it to be goodbye. His voice softened, hoping against hope that she might see the light he'd been trying to share. Jake, she began, but he could see the words struggling to emerge. I want you to see the beauty in your own compass, no matter where it leads. He leaned forward, his hands entwining in an earnest gesture. But I'm scared of losing you. The silence returned, wrapping them in a heavy shroud. As night fell outside, the cafe began to dim, signaling the outside world's urgency. He could feel time slipping away. Tomorrow loomed, but tonight felt far more significant. It was a battleground for their hearts. Before she could answer, her phone buzzed, startling both of them. She glanced down briefly, seeing a text that made her breath hitch. I need to think about this more, she whispered, her smile faltering. Ella, I know. Hurrying to her feet, she looked at him with a mix of panic and resolution. Let us not lose tonight. And Jake, no matter what happens, I care for you deeply. I just need time. He could only nod as she walked away slowly, a shadow of longing trailing behind her. The world beyond the cafe pulsed with life, and for the first time, he felt it separate from his own. As he sat there, drowning in the questions that bubbled beneath the surface, he realized how fragile everything felt now. Could he step into the future without her alongside? The door swung shut behind her, and he was left alone, the warm aroma of coffee swirling around like a cruel reminder. He felt the familiar nerves creep back in, tangled with fresh heartbreak. Tomorrow's board meeting awaited him, a chance to chase his dreams, but without Ella, what would it really mean? With a deep breath, he grabbed his phone, tapping out a message to Mia, I need help for tomorrow, and I need to figure out a way to keep her. Would the shadows of uncertainty drown out his chance for success, or could they still find their way back to each other, even amidst the chaos? Jake stared into the bottom of his now cold coffee cup, a swirl of thoughts competing for his attention. The chime of the cafe's door swinging open and closed barely registered as he sunk deeper into his own turmoil. Every laugh, every clink of cups around him felt like a distant echo, unable to penetrate the walls he had built around his heart. Ella's words replayed in his mind, a haunting melody that refused to let go. What if she was right? What if time apart truly set her free, but left him feeling lost and hollow? He had never anticipated that the fear of losing her could be just as paralyzing as the thought of facing the board alone. He pulled out his phone again, his fingers hovering over Mia's name. What could she possibly say that would rewrite this moment? Just as his thumb pressed the screen, another text from Ella lit up. Hey, just wanted to say, thank you for tonight. I really needed it. His heart fluttered as warmth spread through him like sunlight breaking through clouds. He typed quickly, I needed you too. Can we talk tomorrow? Please. As he pressed send, an idea began to grow. Maybe instead of waiting for the board meeting to define his success, he could make plans to bring Ella into his world not as an anchor pulling him down, but as a partner elevating them both. The cafe's chatter began to feel more like a distant soundtrack, fueling his determination. What if he could show her the potential of their future together? What if he could find a way to blend their dreams, make them intertwine, until they shone even brighter than before? With a surge of hope, he stood up, determination coursing through him like electricity. He spotted a group of musicians setting up on the sidewalk outside the cafe, their energy infectious, capturing the attention of passers-by. That's it. He murmured to himself, realizing that music could be a bridge for them. The spontaneity, the chance to create something together, he could use this moment to express everything he felt. Jake watched the musicians tune their instruments, and a plan began to form. What if they could write a song? Something that encapsulated their struggles, their hopes, something that could speak to both of them. It could be his way of telling Ella that he was ready to support her dreams, whatever shape they took. As the first notes rang out, vibrant and full of life, he felt a lightness like a burden was lifted. This could be the beginning of a new chapter for them. He checked his watch. It was late, but the night still beckoned. He dashed outside, the night air cool against his skin, and approached the musicians. They welcomed him with smiles, and he couldn't help but grin back. Can I join you? I want to write a song. Sure thing. What's on your mind? One of them replied, tuning his guitar. It's about love, loss, and finding your way. Jake took a deep breath, the rhythm of the city blending with his own heartbeat. Inspiration flowed through him, and he began to pen words in his mind as the music swelled. His phone buzzed again. Another message from Ella, just thinking about you. I hope you're okay. And in that moment, as music filled the air around him, he felt a flicker of hope ignite. Tomorrow's meeting was important, but tonight could be the spark he needed for both their futures. Would this song truly capture their story? Would Ella feel the surge of connection he hoped it would create? Jake felt a smile break across his face as he mingled his voice with the music, the tension in his heart easing just a little. He had to believe that they could find their way back to each other, even if it started with a single note. What awaited him in the morning, he couldn't say. But one thing was certain, he wouldn't be stepping into that boardroom blindly missing her, he'd be armed with a chance to share everything they could become. As the melody wove around him, a call to take the next step resonated in his bones. Would this song be the bridge back to Ella, or would it lead him down another path entirely? The music wrapped around Jake like a warm hug. He felt alive. The notes danced in the cool night air, and with every strum of the guitar, his nervousness began to fade. The impromptu band played effortlessly, blending rhythms that tapped into the raw emotions pulsing through him. Start with something meaningful, the guitarist urged, tilting his head slightly. What has love meant for you? Jake took a step back, searching for the words swirling in his heart. It wasn't just about love, it was about connection, the moments that made it real. It's about the small things, he declared, his voice steadying. The little victories, the laughter in dark times, the hope that no matter how far apart you might feel, you can always find your way back. With those thoughts, the musicians fell silent, nodding, as if they understood the delicate balance of heartache and joy. They glanced at each other, then the drummer hit a soft beat, coaxing out a mellow rhythm. Jake took a deep breath, envisioning Ella's face, the spark in her brown eyes, the way her laughter could fill any room. Let us write about the nights we've both lost, and the days we find ourselves together again. They started to weave his words into a haunting melody, the lyrics flowing like a gentle stream, capturing the essence of longing and love. As he sang, each note filled him with a sense of purpose. Passers-by began to gather, swaying to the music, clapping along in encouragement. Jake caught a glimpse of their smiles and felt the collective spirit of hope lift him higher. It wasn't just a song, it was a bridge to connect with everyone who had ever loved and lost. The vibe of the city thrummed through him, propelling him into a flow he had never felt before. The song transformed in real time, gaining layers and depth, like a painting coming to life under an artist's brush. But as the final chords rang out, a soft voice broke through the mingled sounds. That was beautiful. A woman stood at the front, clapping with genuine delight, and Jake felt a rush of warmth at her approval. Thanks. I'm just trying to express some feelings, he replied, still catching his breath. Feelings are the best form of expression. You should share that with her, she said, her gaze intense and knowing, as though she could sense the urgency in his heart. Don't wait too long. The word struck him like a bolt of lightning. What was he doing? He had spent so long molding himself for others that he almost forgot about the power of his own voice. In that moment, he remembered Ella's texts, her warmth, her laughter, her worries. He needed to share this song with her. It was more than a melody, it was a gift. A way to show her that love could heal and elevate, that they weren't alone in their struggles. Thank you, Jake said, a surprising spark of gratitude simmering in his chest. He started to nod, absorbing everything around him. As the evening faded, he knew exactly how he wanted tomorrow to unfold. After the meeting, he would ask Ella to meet him somewhere special, to hear what he had created, to talk about their shared dreams, and most importantly, to open his heart completely. He stepped back into the rhythm of life, energized, and thoughtful. But as he prepared to leave, a troubling thought crept in. What if she didn't feel the same? After all, she had chosen to leave. His heart raced, shadows creeping in as doubt began to weave itself through his vision. Would they be able to face the future together, or had too much time and too many misunderstandings created a rift too wide to cross? With a heavy heart, Jake took one last look at the group of musicians, promising to return, as if recharging his spirit for the next day's uncertainties. Would the joy of the song pull him through, or would it simply become another echo in the night? Tomorrow was the pivotal moment. Would he find the courage to reclaim his joy and connect with Ella once more? Or would fear hold him backstage, lost in the shadows of what-ifs? Morning light poured into Jake's apartment, warming the cold corners where shadows had lingered too long. He stirred awake, the lingering melody from last night pulsing in his mind, filling him with a mixture of hope and anxiety. Today, he would face Ella. Today, everything could change. After a quick shower, he tugged on a faded blue tee, the one she always complimented. It felt like armor. In the mirror, he practiced his smile, trying to shake off the doubts that clung to him like morning fog. What if her smile didn't greet him when he saw her? What if the warmth was gone forever? He paced around the kitchen, making coffee, but even the aroma couldn't cut through the knots in his stomach. With every sip, he replayed their memories, their late-night talks, the way they used to dance around the small living room, laughing as they stumbled over each other's toes. Those moments were woven into the very fabric of who he was, and now, uncertainty threatened to unravel him. Time slipped away, and soon, he found himself on the bus ride to the city. Each stop felt like a countdown, intensifying the thrum of hope and fear in his chest. He picked up his phone and stared at her contact picture, the soft grin that had always made him feel at home. His thumb hovered over the screen. Should he text? The message remained unsent. He couldn't risk it, not yet. The sunlight sparkled off the glass buildings. As he walked toward their meeting spot, a quaint cafe tucked away in a quiet alley, he noticed the hum of bustling life around him, people laughing, kids chasing each other, the barista crafting perfect lattes. Each laugh echoed like a shared joke, a symphony that gently coaxed him to remember that life was beautiful, even when it hurt. Finally, he arrived at the cafe, heart pounding, and perched himself at a table by the window. The anticipation twisted in his stomach, but as the minutes ticked by, a strange calm washed over him. This was it. He was ready. And then she walked in. Ella was just as he remembered, radiant and real. Her hair danced around her shoulders as she scanned the room, and when her eyes met his, everything around him faded into a blur. The world shrank to just them. It was as though time had paused. A hesitant smile spread across her face, and she made her way over, each step echoing with memories they shared. "Hey," she breathed, her voice warm, carrying a hint of disbelief. "I didn't think you'd actually come." "I almost didn't," he admitted, laughter bubbling up through his nervousness. "But I have something I want to share." Before she could respond, he took a deep breath, steadying himself in the moment. Her presence ignited his courage. "Last night, I played a song. A song for us." Her eyes widened, curiosity sparkling in them. "Really? A song?" "Yeah." The words tumbled out. "It's about the nights we've lost and the days we can find our way back together again." He paused, heart racing, trying to gauge her reaction. For a fleeting moment, hope flickered in her eyes before uncertainty cast a shadow. "Jake," she started, the hesitation catching in her throat. Panic kicked in, urgent like a storm cloud looming. What if she didn't want to hear it? What if he misread everything? "No, wait." He interrupted, urgency flooding his words. "I need you to understand this isn't just a song. It's everything I've been feeling since you left. I don't want to lose what we had. I want to find a way back, if you'll let me." Silence settled over the table like a heavy blanket, and Jake held his breath, every heartbeat thudding in his chest. Would she accept his offer, or was the distance too far to bridge? He studied her face, hoping for the spark of understanding, the glimmer of the connection they once shared. But as she opened her mouth and paused, he could feel the weight of uncertainty hanging in the air. What was she about to say? Would joy rekindle, or would it dissolve into another goodbye? Jake, her voice trailed off, and the world around them faded into quiet anticipation. Jake, Ella began, her voice barely a whisper, trembling with uncertainty. The air was thick with possibilities, and he braced himself. Please, just hear me out, he pressed, hands gripping the edge of the table, as if it would ground him against the storm of emotions swirling within. I've been thinking a lot, about us, about what we want, she finally said, her eyes searching his for clarity. And it's all so confusing. He nodded, his pulse racing. It's confusing for me too. But I feel it, Ella, this connection. It's still there. I just need you to believe that. Ella inhaled deeply, her expression softening. But you have this incredible opportunity ahead of you. I don't want to hold you back, Jake. You're this amazing force, and I don't want my uncertainty to overshadow everything you've worked for. But I've spent too long chasing after things that didn't matter. I don't want to chase after success without you anymore, he countered, his voice firm yet filled with vulnerability. I want to build something real, one that includes both of us. A flicker of hope shone in her eyes. Are you sure you mean that? Because if I take this leap, it's going to be a lot. We'll have to work through our fears together. Absolutely. So let us do it. Let us create something beautiful, he said, feeling the weight of all the moments they shared yoked together at last. Ella, the song, it's for you, it's for us. We need to rethink what success looks like. Maybe it starts right here. With each word, Jake felt as if he were lighting a path in the dark, illuminating the fears that had lingered between them. He could feel the warmth of their shared memories, laughter, late-night talks, the moments where time slipped away. Ella clasped her hands together, her hesitation gradually melting away. I want that too. I want to find my way back to what we had, but I also need to discover my voice. Can we do both? Yes. Jake exclaimed, excitement surging. Let us celebrate this, every step of the way. I want to hear your dreams and share mine. We can do this together. We will support each other. Tears glistened in her eyes, and she smiled, a radiant thing that lit up the cafe like nothing else. I always believed in us. I just wasn't sure which direction to take, but I think this can work if we're committed. He reached across the table, taking her hand with a gentleness that mattered. We will be committed. It won't always be easy, but we can make it beautiful. Just like the song. The tension that had cocooned them slowly unraveled, replaced by a warmth that both calmed and invigorated. The air changed, something new was blossoming between them. I'd love to hear the song, Ella said softly, her voice laced with hope, and the smile on her face echoed sincerity. Tonight, let us write it together, he proposed, the thrill of possibilities shimmering in his heart. We'll capture everything we dream of together. And in that moment, as they connected through shared ambitions and hopes, he felt the heavy burden of loneliness lift. Their dreams needed not pull them apart but could intertwine into something even more magnificent. Okay, she said, squeezing his hand. Let us write our song and make it our anthem. He beamed, a wave of joy crashing over him as Ella's enthusiasm matched his own. It felt as though they were standing on the precipice of a new chapter, one stitched together with dreams, laughter, and love. As they finished their coffees, they talked non-stop, each word building a future neither had imagined just hours before. The cafe around them buzzed with life, but the only thing he could see was Ella, vibrant and hopeful. This was the beginning of a new song, of rekindled dreams, and a partnership that embraced both their journeys. As he stepped out into the sunlight with her close at his side, he felt lightness fill his heart. Today was only the first note in their symphony, their dreams would harmonize moving forward, intertwining like the music that first struck a chord in his heart. And as they planned to meet later, the fire in his chest promised that this time, they wouldn't allow uncertainty to silence their melody. They rise, united. Tomorrow awaited not just the board meeting, but a leap into an overflowing canvas of possibility. He was ready to share everything, fueled by hope, and with Ella by his side, he was poised to embrace joy at last. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will transform your life. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread this journey of hope. Comment below your reactions and feelings about this ending, what resonated with you most. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Now is the moment to show your support and be part of this community. Don't wait not even one more second.